Shalom, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. And I wanted to do a video touching on this topic, all right, of the Syrophenician woman, all right, which ultimately this is a scripture that Christians use to teach that actual heathen outside of the 12 tribes of Israel, all right, who, when we go into the prophecy, their fate is already sealed, okay? They teach, using particular scriptures that all heathen can now be a part of the second covenant, which we know ultimately the second covenant is going to be made between the Most High through Yahweh Shai and the house of Israel and the house of Judah. Let's get that in the book of Hebrews, the 8th chapter. All right, Hebrews, the 8th chapter. In the 7th verse, it says, "For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place be sought for the second." So we know that there's a second covenant that's going to be made with the house of Israel. The first covenant, we know, all right, was given, all right, to the children of Israel by the Most High, all right, via his angel through Moses, all right, and Aaron, right? And we broke that covenant. So right here it says, Hebrews 8:8, "For finding fault with them," who? Israel, "he said, Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, because they continue not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, said the Lord. But this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their mind and write them into their hearts, and I will be unto them a God. All right, and they shall be to me a people." So the covenant, all right, which is salvation, where the Israelites will be perfected, is only for the Israelites. All right, the fate of the heathen is that they will be taught. All right, we know that there's a judgment associated with the heathen's fate as well. All right, in particular, the biblical Edomites, they're going to be judged the hardest. And after that judgment, they're going to be done away with as a nation. However, the other nations that, will be, around in the kingdom under the rulership of the Israelites, their fate is that ultimately, pursuant to the book of Micah, okay, the 4th chapter, okay, because Jerusalem being established means the teaching of peace will be established, starting at Jerusalem, spread throughout the 4 corners of the earth, okay? And the heathen will be on the earth, all right? That's a part of the inheritance that's given unto Yahweh Shai, all right? "Ask of me, and I will give thee the heathen for thine inheritance. As my Father has given unto me, so will I give unto you." So as we're joint heirs with Yahweh Shai and rulership of the earth, all right, the elect of the nation of Israel will also be joint heirs in inheriting the heathen, all right, for the purpose of ruling over them, all right, but also for the purpose of teaching them the ways of righteousness. Micah 4:1, "But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of Yahweh shall be established in top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow into it." So that will be a sovereign government on the earth. "And many nations shall come and say, Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways." So the heathen will have to be taught, whereas we know, pursuant to the second covenant in the book of Hebrews, okay, Hebrews 8:11, "And they shall teach not teach anymore every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know the Lord, for all shall know me from least to the greatest. Okay, and that's speaking amongst the house of Israel, who he will make that covenant with. Okay, so no Israelite will have to be taught. Okay, because every Israelite that is born from the first fruits being established, okay, which consists of course, under Yahweh Shai, you have the 144,000, the 12 disciples will take their place and position at the forefront of that. Then you have a large multitude that will be delivered, okay, and ultimately the 2/3 of our people will be destroyed, okay. But every Israelite born from that first fruits being established will be holy. So they won't have to be taught to know the Lord. We won't have to go out and teach our people, all right, to know the Lord and to stop eating this and to stop celebrating this, because the instruction will already be embedded in them, okay, because they will be a part of the new covenant as they're born into the earth. As the scriptures say, we will have children, our children will have children, their children will have children forever. So we will no longer have to teach our own people, okay, to know the Lord. However, pursuant to what we were just reading in the book of Micah, many nations are going to come and say, let us go up to the mountain of the house of Yahweh, to the house of the God of Jacob, right? And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths, for the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. So these heathen, any nation outside of the nation of Israel, all right, yes, they will have to undergo a judgment, right? But also associated with that, they will have to learn the ways of righteousness. That is the fate of the heathen, prophetically. Okay, when you get the book of Psalms, let's get Psalms 149. Okay, and let's just start at 1. Let's just read down. Praise you, Yahweh. Sing unto Yahweh a new song. Okay, and this is ultimately what we're singing, a new song which is going to lead to salvation. And his praise in the congregation of his saints. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him. Okay, let the children of Zion be joyful in their king. Let them praise his name in the dance. Let them sing praises with the timbrel and the harp. For Yahweh taketh pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation. See, that salvation is for Israel. Let the saints be joyful in glory, and let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hands, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and the punishments upon the people. Okay? NLT, to execute vengeance on the nations and punishments on the people. Okay? To bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute the judgment written. See? The judgment written can be found in prophecy. This honor have all his saints, praise ye the Lord. And that starts with the first fruits. So the heathen have their judgment written. It's written in prophecy. It cannot be undermined. It cannot be undone. They cannot be a part of the second covenant. But yes, they will be on the earth during the reign of the Israelites in the kingdom of heaven. The throne of David being established, okay, is New Jerusalem, where the teachings of peace will come directly from the people of Yahweh through Yahweh Shai, starting with the 12 and the rest of the 144 being at the forefront of that. Okay, that is the government that's going to be established in the earth. Okay? No heathen will be a part of that government. Okay? So when you see scriptures, all right, like this one in Mark the 7th chapter, all right, people don't understand history, all right, because you even have Israelites teaching that this is a heathen woman, all because she's called a Greek or Syrophenician. Okay? So when you read this here in Mark the 7th chapter, right, it says, And from thence he rose, all right, Mark 7:24, the faith of a Gentile woman, right? The Syrophenician woman. And from thence he rose and went into the borders of Tyre and Zidon, and entered into a house, and would have known no man, have no man to know it, all right, but he could not be hid, all right, because he drew a lot of attention wherever he went, okay? For a certain woman whose daughter had an unclean spirit heard of him and came and fell at his feet. And the woman was a Greek. See? And when Christians see Greek, they automatically think that this is just speaking of a heathen woman. There's no way that this could be an Israelite. But again, you have to go into the history, man. Okay, you have to go into the history and you have to know what the hell you're talking about. So just because it says Greek, a lot of Israelites say that this is a white woman. A lot of Christians say, well, see, heathen could be saved. Okay? No. A Syrophenician by nation. All right? Meaning she grew up, all right, in a land connected to Syria that was called, all right, Phoenicia or Phoenician. We'll get the history on that. All right, now, what is Phoenician real quick? Let's get, okay, some history on this. All right, because it said a Greek, right? So we know that land is originally Tyre and Zidon, right? But it was called Phoenicia. Why? All right. It says a member, Phoenician is a member of a Semitic people inhabiting ancient Phoenicia and its colonies. The Phoenicians prospered from trade and manufacturing until the capital, Tyre, okay, was sacked by Alexander the Great in 332 BC. Okay? So this land was conquered by the Greeks. Okay? Now, what happened along the lines of Alexander and his cohorts ruling can be found in the book of Maccabees. All right, where you have many of the Jews, okay, who were in the Greek captivity. Now, mind you, the Bible, okay, is tracking the chosen seed through their captivities, okay? Through their captivities, as it is written in Daniel, the 7th chapter, right? We always go through this, okay? These four beasts that are spoken of here in Daniel, the 7th chapter, is how you track the captivity of the Israelites. Okay, we know after the Assyrian captivity, the northern kingdom left. All right, so you had the Jews, or Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, go through, okay, the Babylonian captivity, the Medo-Persian captivity, the Greek captivity, and then the Roman captivity. Okay? This is how you track the Jews, and the Bible is tracking, all right, the Jews or the children of Israel as they are in these captivities. Lord willing, I'll do a lesson going into where you can find the history, all right, and which prophets were prophesying in these captivities. We know in the Greek captivity, okay, you have a very, very large amount of Jews, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, okay, who ultimately did what, right? After Alexander died, his 4 generals ruled, okay? And what many Israelites did, okay? Verse 11, 1 Maccabees 1:11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us make a covenant with the heathen round about. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. And there were certain so forward therein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. And they built the place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen to do mischief, right? So again, many Israelites, okay, of the southern kingdom became uncircumcised. This is why when you read in the New Testament, you see that many Israelites are being called uncircumcised or heathen because they are the descendants of those who forsook the Holy Covenant and joined themselves to the heathen. So every time in the New Testament when you see the term heathen or Greek, that doesn't mean it's necessarily talking about the actual Greeks. Again, these four beasts are tracking the children of Israel as they are in these captivities. So here in Daniel 7 and 6, you have the leopard, which is the Greek captivity, the third beast, and then you have the fourth beast, which is the Roman captivity. So when you read the New Testament, you're reading about the Jews as they are in this Roman captivity, which stemming from the Greek Empire, many of the Jews became uncircumcised and they started following heathen customs. So when Yahushua came on the scene, you had the descendants of the Maccabees, okay, and those who stood stiffly for the covenant and didn't bow to those idols, but you had many, all right, who ultimately were uncircumcised, all right, and fell under this order here, right? Verse 43, yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. And as we always show you, many of the Jews who stuck to the customs, okay, they hated and looked down upon these Israelites who did forsake the custom. As you read in this chapter, okay, Mattathias, who was the father of Judah Maccabees, and the rest of those men and women who joined themselves into them, all right, they took the mindset that, look, verse 19, First Maccabees 2 and 1, then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice, though all of the nations under the king's dominion, who's the king at this time is the Greeks, okay, fall away, every one from the religion of their fathers and give consent to his commandments, yet I and my sons and my brethren will walk in the covenant of our fathers. God forbid that we should forsake the laws and the ordinances. We will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion, which is the law, statutes, and commandments, right? Either on the right or the left hand. All right. Now, when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice at the altar which is at Modin according to the king's commandment. What was the king's commandment? To offer up swine as a sacrifice. Things forbidden were to be offered up. This was an order given. When Mattathias saw this, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled, neither could he forbear to show his anger according to the judgment, wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. So again, Mattathias put this guy to death, who was a Jew, all right, offering up wicked sacrifices. Okay? So again, this back and forth between the Jews and those who fell away was a very, very high, all right, friction. It was a point of contention. So when you read in the New Testament, you have to understand that there were many Israelites, okay? Let's get that in a profess Jew. Let's see that. So you had a lot of Israelites who stuck to the traditions, all right? But you have to understand 2 Maccabees 6 and 6. It says, 6 and 5, the altar was filled with profane things which the law forbidded. Neither was it lawful for any man to keep the Sabbath days or ancient feasts or to profess himself to be a Jew. So you had many Jews who were not being raised calling themselves Jews, man. Okay? That happened in what? The third beast. The Greeks. So as you get to the fourth beast, the Roman captivity, you have to understand that there are many Israelites going under the name Greek and uncircumcised. So when you see Syrophenician woman. All right? Because you have to understand, what did the prophecy say? When Yahushua came on the scene, it was understood that the tents of Judah had to be saved first. Zechariah 12 and 7. Okay? Yahweh also shall save the tents of Judah first, meaning the Jews who were raised in the customs, all right, got the word first. Okay? That's who Yahushua went and gathered from amongst. All right? But we know, as he was gathering them from amongst the Jews, there were many, all right, Israelite foreigners who were taking heed and showing faith as he was preparing his followers. He was preparing the Jews, okay, those who accepted him. Peter, one of them, Andrew. These were Israelites raised in the customs, man. Okay, he was preparing them that, look, as you go out on these missions, these are the type of people that are going to have more faith than your own countrymen who were raised in the customs, right? So again, the Lord shall save the tents of Judah first. Give me 1 second here. Okay, let's read it again. Zechariah 12 and 7. Yahweh also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. Okay, so there had to be a gathering from amongst, all right, the circumcision, the Jews first. All right, but we know that it's to the Jew first, and then to the Greek, which ultimately are going to be those scattered Israelites who ultimately would turn away from the idols that they were raised in. Okay, let's do a cross reference. And boom, yeah, Matthew 11 and 25. And Yahushua said, oh, I thank thee, Father, Lord of heaven, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent, which would be the Jews who rejected him. As many Jews rejected him, some accepted him, and revealed it unto babes, the unlearned. All right. Even so, Father, for it seemed good to do in thy sight. Okay. Let's see here. John 7 and 47. Then answered them the Pharisees are also deceived. Have any of the rulers of the Pharisees believed on him? But this people know it not the law and are cursed. Let's see what this is talking about. And see, as you can see here, Romans 3 and 27, where is boasting then? Is it excluded by the law or of works? No. All right, but by the law of faith. And that was a big back and forth between the Jews, all right, who didn't believe on Yahushua, and the Gentiles coming in. All right. They were basically saying they were forbidden from being, brought into the fold and being accepted back to the Father because they weren't raised in the custom. So anyway, this is a history you have to understand. All right. That's why it says to the Jew and then to the Greek. Right? If you don't understand this history, all of this stuff is just going to confuse you. Romans 1 and 16, for I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Yahushua, for it is the power unto God unto salvation, which we know salvation is just for the Israelites. Everyone that believeth, to everyone that believeth through Yahushua, to the Jew first, those raised in the customs, and also to the Greek. And that word Greek is Hellen, because many Jews were Hellenized and turned to the idols during the Greek captivity, man. Okay? So again, when you get Daniel, the 7th chapter, and you read about all of those captivities the Israelites would be in, why would it just follow the Israelites all the way up to the fourth beast, the Roman captivity, and now it's following all nations? No. It's still following the chosen seed. In particular, the southern kingdom, as the northern kingdom had left and came all the way over here to the Americas, man. You did have a remnant of the northern kingdom, right, who were here. Okay? But the Jew and the Greek, these are all talking about Israelites, whether you were raised in the customs or whether you were raised as a heathen and now you believe through faith, you can be accepted back into the fold. So going back here to Mark 7, All right. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. Okay. So let's read it again. And there arose, and from thence he arose and went to the borders of Tyre and Sidon. Now let's look this up, Tyre and Sidon, real quick. All right. The word Tyre, all right, is a rock, a Phoenician city, all right, which we know the Greeks conquered this particular landmass. And yes, there were Israelites in this area. Okay? Yes. The Israelites lived. There were many. That's why Yahweh was going here. Okay? As a matter of fact, when you get Acts 21 real quick, Acts the 21st chapter, in the 3rd verse, it says now, let's see here. This is Paul sails, all right, as he's on his way back to Jerusalem. Let's just read here. Acts 21 and 2. There we boarded a ship sailing for Phoenicia. We sighted, all right, the island of Cyprus, all right, passed it on our left and landed in harbor of Tyre in Syria, okay, where the ship was to unload its cargo. When we went ashore, okay, we found local believers, okay, and stayed with them a week. These believers prophesied through the Holy Spirit that Paul should not go to Jerusalem. Okay, so again, you had Israelites in these areas, man. Okay, you have Tyre and Zidon, right? Which Hamites had, had that land at one point. Let's see. Give me 1 second. I've got to do something here, Salakia. But Israel was also here as well. As a matter of fact, when you get Tyre and Zidon, all right, Sidon or Zidon hunting, an ancient and wealthy city of Phoenicia, all right, and so forth. But as you read here in the Greek lexicon, let's see here. Let's read like right here. A very ancient Phoenician city. I'm starting right here. Okay, where I have it highlighted. Formerly distinguished for wealth and traffic, situated near the Mediterranean, on the borders of Judea, it had been assigned to the tribe of Asher. See? Which is of the northern kingdom. But Jews vainly endeavored to capture it. All right, because the tribe of Asher, they didn't get all of the Canaanites out of the land. All right. But anyway, the Jews vainly endeavored to capture it. All right, and so forth. So there's history tied to this. But again, Israelites are in this area. So just because you see that he's in Tyre and Sidon, okay, doesn't mean that he's visiting actual heathen. This is the mindset of a Christian, and this is the mindset of an unlearned Israelite. Okay? So it says, for a certain woman whose young daughter had an unclean spirit heard of him and came and fell at his feet. Remember, his fame had been, noised abroad. The woman, all right, was a Greek. Let's look up the word Greek. Helen. All right, and you have to know, all right, because when you read the book of Maccabees, again, let's go back. When you get the book of First Maccabees, right? What happened here? First Maccabees 1 and 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws, and all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. So, again, all of the heathen were Hellenized, right? Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed to idols and profaned the Sabbath. See? So many Israelites, this is where you get a Hellenized Jew? Okay, let's look that up. Okay, Hellenization of the Jews, all right, was a period when the the Jews, all right, adopted Greek culture and language as well as other Greek influences in Palestine and in the diaspora. Okay, and then you get the history, man. And they started to speak Greek, adopt Greek names. This is why in the New Testament you see a lot of Greeks, a lot of Israelites with Greek names. Marcus, Jason. Okay, that's a Greek name for healer. Okay, here in America, what do we have? Greek names. Okay, and before the Greek Empire, all right, you had what? The Medio Persian Empire. Okay, what happened there? You had Esther, who had a heathen name. Okay, Mordecai, those were heathen names. Okay, her real name was Hadassah. So again, the Bible is following the chosen seed. Even when you read in the New Testament, it's about the chosen seed as they are in the Roman captivity. So just because you see the term Greek woman does not mean that she's an actual heathen, man. Okay? Syrophenician, exalted palm, all right? Syro is an inhabitant of Syria, which we know, even going back to Genesis, we had descendants of Israel before they were called Israel, the sons of God. All right, Abraham's people scattered in this area. Come on, man. The name of a mixed nation, half Phoenician, half Syrians. All right, you had Israelites scattered in these nations. The Greeks called this area Phoenicia because they conquered it. We had Israelites, the sons of God, in this land. So there's Israelites here, man. So just because you see that this woman is called Syrophoenician, a Greek, a Hellenized, she was a Hellen. She was a descendant of one of those Israelites who fell away. She was looked down upon by the Jews. Okay? Point blank period. And she was raised in this nation that was conquered by the Greeks in the area of Tyre and Zidon, man. Which they conquered it, and the Greeks conquered it and called it Phoenicia, man. The woman was a Greek, a Syrophoenician by nation, and she besought him that he would cast forth the devil out of her daughter. But Yahushua said, all right, let the children first be filled, for it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to the dogs. Okay, now a lot of people, okay, like to say, well, see, because heathen are called dogs, but also Israelite are so-called dogs. Okay? And when you look up this word dogs, basically Yahushua, because Yahushua was of the circumcision, right? He was a Jew. He understood prophecy. It had to go to the Jews first. The word for dog is, let's get it here.
Strong's G 2952, Kunarian. Kunarian.
Okay? And many Israelites were called after animals. Okay? Metaphorically, a man of an impure mind, an impure imputed man. And that's how these Gentiles were being looked at, because they had fell away from the customs. Okay? The scriptures say those without the law are dogs, right? That doesn't mean it has to be a heathen. Revelation 22 and 14, blessed are they that do his commandments, that they might have the right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs, sorcerers, whoremongers, idolaters, and who love it to make a lie. But you had many Israelites who were in that state, who humbled themselves and turned away from those idols. That's why the scriptures say, ye were Gentiles, all right, carried away by these dumb idols. 1 Corinthians 12 and 2. Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away by these dumb idols. Okay? What's that in Ephesians 2? And 11. Wherefore remember that ye being in times past Gentiles in the flesh, who were called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision. So the circumcised Jews look down upon the uncircumcision, man. Okay? And again, we know prophecy says that it had to go to the Jew first. Those who believed on Yahweh from amongst the Jews had to be gathered first. Let's read this in the NLT. Mark 7 and 27. Yahweh told her first, at first I should feed the children, my own family, the Jews. All right? Those who were raised in the customs. It isn't right to take fruit from the children and throw it to the dogs. So he acknowledged it. He acknowledged her. He tested her. And she answered and said unto him, yes, Lord, yet the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs. All right, so she understood. We understand that it has to go to the Jew first, right? She got it. All right, and when we go to what was said in Matthew, how it's worded, she acknowledged him as the son of David. Okay, and he said unto her, for this saying, all right, because you humbled yourself. Okay, for this saying, go thy way, the devil is gone out of your daughter. So I don't understand how this scripture, even if let's say this was a heathen, how would this mean that the heathen can be brought into the second covenant? Anyway, let's go to how it's worded in the book of Matthew 15, and then we'll get up out of here. I believe it's Matthew 15 and 24, maybe. I believe. All right, Matthew 15 and 21. Then Yahweh went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Zidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast. Now it just calls her a woman of Canaan. Now, for you Christians out there, right? Let's get Zechariah 14. When all of these heathen are taken down, the scriptures say what? Zechariah 14 and 21. Yeah, every pot in Jerusalem and Judah shall be holiness. When all of the tribes are brought back together, the throne of David is established. All right, unto Yahweh, the Lord of hosts, and all they that sacrifice shall come and take of them and see therein. All right, and ultimately, the law, statutes, and commandments will be written in our inward part. Okay. And in that day there shall be no more Canaanite in the house of the Lord. Okay? There will be no more Canaanite in the house of the Lord of hosts. Okay? Again, when you read this chapter, it's telling you that all of the nations who refuse not to keep our commandments will be judged. Okay? Verse 14 and 19, this shall be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all the nations that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacle. All right? Showing you none of them won't be under the second covenant because, again, they will have to be taught. They will still go off. But again, it says no Canaanite will be in the house of the Lord. Okay? Anyway, Matthew 15 and 21. Then Yahweh went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Zidon, and said unto the woman of Canaan, come out of the same coast. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. So she's acknowledging that this is the son of David. See? So there's more to the story. She acknowledged that this is the Messiah. This is the son of David. Okay? Point blank, period. Okay? And you had many high, mighty Jews that wouldn't even acknowledge that this was the son of David that was prophesied to be born. They didn't want to hear it. But here it is, you have this low, all right, who looked down upon, all right, what they would call a heathen woman, all right? Because remember, when you get Acts the 10th chapter, when it was announced that they were brought back into the fold, okay, Acts 10, let's see here, was it 20? Let's see here, let's see if I can find it. That's Peter is breaking bread with, Cornelius and the men that was sent to him. Let's see here. Acts 10 and 28. Let's read it in the NLT first. It says, Peter told them, it is against our laws for a Jew, all right, to enter a Gentile home. All right. Now let's read this in the King James. It says, and he said unto them, that it is unlawful for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come to one of another nation. See? That word, another nation, allos, another, phulos, another tribe. In the New Testament, all persons descended from one of the 12 sons of the patriarch of Jacob. But again, the Jews looked at these uncircumcised Israelites as, absolute. They ain't Jews. They ain't a part of us. And they were looked down upon. You couldn't go into their home. There was many, many rules and traditions. Okay. But anyway, Matthew 15 and 22. And it says, behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David, acknowledging that this was the son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. But he answered her not. First, he ignored her, right? And his disciples came and sought him, saying, send her away, for she cried after us. She keeps bothering us, begging us. Get her out of here. Ugh. She probably had on the Greek clothing, But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Now, what does this have to do with anything? Okay? All right. Then she came and worshiped him, saying, Lord, help me. But he answered her and said, it is not meet to take the children's bread. Now we know what that's talking about. Look, this is for the Jew first, and cast it to the dogs. Okay? And just because it says dog doesn't mean it's talking about a heathen. Remember, even Israelites who were keeping the laws were called dogs. Even the scriptures tell you to cast an Israelite out as a heathen man if he hears you not. So again, these Israelites who fell away were castaways. They were looked at as heathen. They were uncircumcised in the eyes of the Jews. Philippians 3 and 12, beware of dogs, beware of evil workers, beware of the concision. Who is this talking about? The Jews, all right, who were rebelling against the church of Yahushua, point blank period. So just because you see dog doesn't mean it's talking about a heathen. Okay, but he answered and said, it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to the dogs. Okay, remember it had to be the Jew first. And she said, truth, Lord, yet the dogs eat. All right, which again, that word dog, as we showed you, can be those. Okay, you get it can be metaphorically of those of an impure mind. The Gentiles, the uncircumcision, the wild olive tree. But they would have more faith than many of these high-minded Jews who were raised as Jews. She's showing that faith. And understanding, look, we understand Look, yeah, I'm a dog. I'm impure. You know, I get it. I know I went off. She's acknowledging that I'm through. And she said, Lord, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which crawl from their master's table. And Yahushua answered and said, O woman, great is thy faith. Be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made whole that very hour. Point blank, period. That's it, that's all. But the thing that gets people is that they see Gentile, they see Canaan, and they think automatically this can't be an Israelite because the Jews are called the Jews. Well, there's a history that you have to tie to this and that you have to apply. Hopefully, I'll edify on to the next. Shalom.